Running a quick technical check. Alright, and it looks like we are good to go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another Friday night of ARC Formula One America Series. Here this week in Austria at the Red Bull Ring for round 7 of 15 this season. And we're in for a good one tonight, of course. This track, a favorite among all drivers, a real driver's track, and an interesting choice here for Jackson Altman should be noted. I don't know why this is the first thing that caught my attention. Just want to say welcome again, of course. Straight back into the show we go with Jackson Altman qualifying on intermediate tires, it looks like.
Just trying to
Joined
get heat in there.
joined in the booth, as always, by Billy Targi, Astunic Gaming. Bill, how are we doing tonight?
Pretty good. Looking forward to this. Should be exciting. Just as exciting as Jackson Altman doing a lap around the Red Bull Ring on Inters
Of
in
course,
the
as
dries.
should be expected, the only driver out on any compound besides soft tires. Not too sure what's going on there. I expect him to be ducking in, except he is not. He is going for it on those intermediates from P3. And of course, Jackson Altman holding down the 5th position in the Drivers' Championship at the moment with 47 points. 3 ahead of him is Cameron Lopez with 50 in 4th place in the championship. And only 1 point ahead with 51 is Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, currently holding down P3 in the Drivers' Championship. The top two, as should kind of be expected, Nico Pichet and Mikey de Jong sort of running away with the championship at this point, with Nico 103 points atop the board. Mikey de Jong a bit back with 83, 20 behind in P2. However, 83 to 51 is the gap from P2 to P3 in that championship, so plenty of room for comfort for those two drivers. Everybody else is kind of scrapping for every position they can, though. As mentioned, P3 and P4 in the championship being held down by Jurgensmeyer and Lopez, only separated by 1 point with 51 and 50 respectively. So anything can happen tonight. We may see some shakeups in that championship running order.
I just, to be fair, Jackson Altman did run a 108 on the Inters.
Somewhat respectable time, of course, about 4.5 seconds off pace as we see Colby Luca coming across in provisional pole. Only 7 drivers thus far laying down their first hot lap of the session. Boriyoshi next across with the 104.2, about half a tenth behind Colby Luca. Plenty to be
I
improved
just,
upon.
I just want to point out, if you didn't notice myself, Mike Matthew Stotts released from the AlphaTauri, signed Colby Luca. They did a bit of a seat
Really,
swap over
just
there.
a clean replacement there, huh?
Yep. And Aiden McCarthy's been disqualified from session for blocking the pit
Already
exit.
took no time at all. That'll be it for the Williams. Unfortunate for him, of course, well down the Drivers' Championship order, so he will be starting from the back of the pack whether he likes it or not, and it'll just be a fight to stay above water from there. Just want to point out real quick, we do have a slight rule change for this evening. Want to point out that drivers may not cross the pit entry line in any way, shape, or form, and if they do, it will be a 5-second penalty. Of course, the game will not assess this. This will be assessed by our stewards. Slight change, though. Drivers will have to be very careful on that entry. Of course, it really kind of creeps up on you here in Austria.
Yeah. It's
Classic
tight, I'll tell
track,
you that.
though. Cautions are out. Locally in Sector 2, it looks like Jamie Knock is at full stop right there. Right before turn 3. Getting past... Yes, that is AJ Knickel. Back to green we go.
I don't think he has an issue. It's just going slow.
Yeah, looks like it. AJ Knickel having already laid down one hot lap, currently P9 with his 105.9, looking to improve, and I should think it should be expected of him to qualify somewhere around the P6, P7 range, looking to improve from that P9. Of course, with the local yellows on that previous hot lap, kind of bungling his chances, he'll have to duck back in, switch tires, and hope for another shot at it. Just following along now to see who we can take a lap around with.
Matthew Stotts has gone quickest. Sector 2. I don't know. Again, it's hard to judge because of the way that the game is a bit glitchy in that aspect sometimes, but it is true.
Bill,
Matthew Stotts, top of the board.
Do you want to take us around for a lap with Jonathan Jurgensmeyer?
It's just fine, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. Yeah.
Just starting into turn 1.
Hard braking into 1. This is just a straight shot. This track is fast. Don't want to run down force, but you do just because of the middle section here. But hard on the brakes. Easy to lock up. As you can see, goes a bit wide, and it's hard to spin the tires here as we get set for the second DRS zone. Needlessly close to the Mercedes there. This one you can just drop it down to third and just ease your way through it. You want to get on the throttle nice and early, but ease into it. And this sets you up for these two quick left-handers. Just snap it in there. Don't want to go wide, though. Get stuck on that curb. Sucks you right into the gravel. Quick left-hander. Flick the wrist back. Right-hander. And this is the part where it gets tricky. You want to carry a lot of speed through here. Want to see him take a little bit more entry curve. And this part right here, get as close as you can. It's a bit scruffy. It's a good banker, but it's not going to set the world on fire there.
Improves by almost a tenth, however, not enough to advance on the leaderboard. He will remain P10 for the moment. And that's Austria for you folks. You know it, you love it, you've probably raced here a million times. Looks like we will be around for about 36 laps, I believe. 35 or 36 for tonight's race. Very quick lap here, only about, as you can see in qualifying, we should expect a racing pace of about 105, 106 from these drivers. So very quick around here.
Cameron Lopez on a scorcher right now.
Currently sitting in P2 for the Red Bull team with the 103.9. Yet to see a driver into the 102s, and I don't expect us to be totally honest. Currently at the top of the 103s, we may see a driver as low as 103.4, 103.5. However, for the time being, right at the tippity top of those 103s.
Is here.
Nico Pichet did make it in. A buzzer beater, really, joined as the lobby was loading in, so plenty of chance for him to really shake things up here. Lopez crossing the line, not able to advance any positions in the running order, as he does actually end up being about a tenth slower than his previous best, so he will be sitting upon that 103.9 for the time being. Mikey de Jong, interestingly enough, down in P4 thus far in the session, about halfway through. Interesting bit of a conundrum here for the P2 runner in the Drivers' Championship. Usually expect him to be qualifying somewhere on the first row. Tonight it looks like he'll be taking the last spot of the second if he's not able to improve soon.
Yeah, just about 8 minutes left to go here.
Jamie Knox shouting himself a bit, tooting his own horn, and you love to see it. Confidence is key, Jamie. I mean, if you're able to put it on the front row, we would love to see such a thing. Mikey de Jong ducking his way into the pits now from P4 with a bit of pep there, slowing way down for the pit speed limiter. He will be back out
Jamie
for...
Knock, I do want to see you on the front row of this grid.
It would be great. I mean, Jamie Knock, of course, driver that we should shout out just for the moment, has plenty of pace. We've seen it time and again. It's just usually incidents either within or without their control that ends up bungling their race to some extent. It's been the story thus far, all last season and this season.
And there's a lap without inters for
It
Jackson
looks like
Altman as he puts in a 103.8.
just had to warm it up with the disadvantage, you know, and then once it was level playing ground, Jackson Altman shot all the way up to the top.
Yeah, personal best in all 3 sectors to really help your self-esteem.
Great lap there. 103/8, nearly a tenth quicker than Matthew Stotts, who also should be shouted out just on pace alone. I mean, Matthew Stotts, having been mentioned, sort of got the axe from his team and has found his home somewhere else, and thus far, I mean, can't say that it's not working out for him. Currently P2, looking to advance from there, was on provisional pole for the majority of this qualifying session thus far. Off he goes to start his next hot lap, and he may have time for one more after this. A few more drivers on hot laps, it seems. Towards the bottom of the board, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, Ayrton Frederick, and Tyler Crabtree. Crabtree, of course, looking to capitalize on his
He's
good fortune
invalidated.
thus far. Yes, he is. Looks like he caught a bit of the commentator's curse. P6 in the Drivers' Championship, only 1 point behind that of Jackson Altman in P5. So, I mean, that is a battle for the ages should we see it come down to the wire here in Austria. Tyler Crabtree, of course, transitioning to a new team himself this season and really making the most of it thus far. Already out-dueling his seasoned veteran of a teammate, Boryoshi, who's currently sitting P7 in qualifying, so may end up out-qualifying teammate Tyler Crabtree this session. However, it is Tyler who has the best of the two as far as the championship is concerned. 46 points scored thus far to Boryoshi's 34 points. Jackson Altman with doing a bit of self-pit reporting, filling in the role of Ted Kravitz for us, thankfully. Jackson saying that the last sector was a bit squirrely there, not able to lay down exactly the time that he was hoping to, so
Well, he does
improvement
have
should
time
be on
left
the
for one more
horizon.
run.
He does, and I mean, being on provisional pole and not being super far ahead as far as that's concerned, he may be looking to make any improvement he can here on his final hot lap. We have entered the crunch time stage, though, of this qualifying session with about 4.5 minutes remaining. Drivers will have time for maybe one hot lap from here, to be totally honest. Watching now as Jurgensmeyer passes through traffic, makes his way cleanly around the Mercedes, and he'll be looking to advance from his current P11 position, except maybe he will not be as he ducks his way into the pits. Oh, and Jamie Cavallini also mentioning some trouble that was ran into on their hot lap, currently sitting P8 with the 104.5. Plenty of time to be made up there for the Haas car, I'm sure. May qualify as high as P5, P6 if able to lay down a lap with absolutely no flaws whatsoever, but only time will tell as it's ticking down here. 3.5 minutes remaining now. Boryoshi moving his way quietly up the running order, P7 for the moment, on a hot lap as we speak, will be looking to improve from there, and as mentioned, perennial podium contender week in and week out. It was kind of just a given that we should expect Boryoshi to be somewhere among the top three all last season, but this season seems just not fully able to put one together. Few good finishes, a few good strategies, but overall just not showing the pace that we would expect from such a driver with this level of quality and
There's
experience.
a lot of bad luck involved with that as well too. There's been some stuff out of his control.
Having a bit of a Jamie Knock type season, it would seem. Having invalidated this hot lap as well, unfortunately for Boryoshi, with only about 2.5 minutes remaining, and it will be a sprint around the track. However, local yellows sort of holding that up as we see Matthew Stotts cross the line, improving over Jackson Altman, albeit by 11/100ths of a second. First driver into the 103.7s. Cracking lap there from the McLaren. So it's game on from here. Jackson Altman making his way back out. Cameron Lopez will be making his way back out, I'm sure, very soon. And then Mikey DeYoung, Nico Pichet, Boriyoshi. As far as the front row is concerned, this is sort of wide open. Any driver out of those 5 or 6 just mentioned, I feel, has a good chance here. As we see a few early retirements, P10 and P11 of Andrew Davis and Jonathan Juergensmeyer respectively, they will be sitting upon their times of 104.8 and 105.1, hoping that nobody below them bests it. However, I kind of expecting a bit here from George Knight and Tyler Crabtree. Maybe they'll be able to make their way into the top 10 for the race start.
Yoshi retires. AJ got disconnected but managed to get back in, so he's most likely going to try, but this is where you... Yeah, never mind.
Time certainly ticking down. If you are not already out of the pits, you will not make it around for a final hot lap. Really down to just Jackson Altman, Cameron Lopez, and Jamie Knock at this point. Colby Lucas sort of falling off after holding down provisional pole for just about the first half of this qualifying session, 104.1. Very respectable time, of course, only about 3/10 off of provisional pole, but just not enough. Maybe looking to make an improvement here, but will not be able to, actually, as I notice now that Colby Lucas has invalidated on this final hot lap.
Yeah, well, we do know he has the pace, so...
Only 3 drivers thus far into the 103s, the best of which being Matthew Stotts, who has opted for the early retirement, interestingly enough. Probably kind of read the cards, knew he wouldn't make it around in time for a final hot lap, so he will be sitting upon his 103.7.
Jackson Altman goes purple in Sector 1.
And it's game on.
His teammate answer.
Yeah, Cameron Lopez and Jackson Altman may very well be battling for pole position here. If, of course, not able to best Matthew Stotts, who will hold on to it if nothing else. But these
Altman's
Red Bulls...
purple in Sector 2. Cameron is just only 6/100ths up. This is all for Jackson Altman to take right here.
Into the final corner.
Oh,
bit of a twitch into the inside wall. Oh, no. That will not be enough.
With the Masterclass lap at the Saudi Arabian GP in 2021, it was just so good until it wasn't.
Oh,
Cameron didn't light the world up in Sector 2, so I don't know.
103.8 for Altman. Cameron Lopez may have a chance to best his teammate here.
He could get a slipstream here to the line.
And he does! By 9/1000ths of a second.
Yes, but look how close it is to pole, 2/1000ths of a second.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Wow, yeah. These top 3, wow. And Mikey DeYoung, it should be mentioned, of course, maybe just a bit off his game here in this qualifying session, but the win here, I think, may come down to one of these 4 drivers, barring a storm up the grid from Nico Pichet, who once again fails to qualify, it looks like. He will be starting from the back, but of course, being the championship leader, should not be too much trouble for him, as Matthew Stotts will walk away with pole position here in Austria. He retired early and was just sitting on his time, hoping for the best, and it really worked out for him, I must say. Alongside him on the first row will be Cameron Lopez. Second row will be occupied by Jackson Altman and Mikey DeYoung, with Jamie Knock and Colby Lucas taking the third row, P7 and P8 going to Boriyoshi and Jamie Cavanini. Tyler Crabtree starting in the top 10 tonight. He will take P9 alongside AJ Knickel in P10. Andrew Davis will be starting from P11 with Jonathan Juergensmeyer alongside in P12. And then it's George Knight and Ayrton Frederick rounding out the rest of the grid, besides those who did not qualify, of course, Aiden McCarthy and Nico Pichet. So the grid is set here in Austria. We are good to go. Making some quick audio adjustments. Just gotta turn Billy up a little bit.
Just looking in the chat, post-qualifying, Jackson Altman saying he choked. Well, that's what happens, man. Sometimes you gotta push. You were pushing.
Oh man, it was really.
You were pushing for pole, man.
He was he was locked in for pole up until the last corner and a half or so. Things just got all squirrely from there, and he will be starting from P2 as a result. Regardless, great performance as always from Jackson Altman in that qualifying session, but really had a chance there, and yeah, I would be kicking myself too.
Cameron missing out by .002.
No formation lap it looks like tonight. Straight in we go. It's lights out and away we go from here in Austria. Decent little getaway from Matthew Stotts. Jackson Altman also getting a good start, making a run on his teammate, but not quite enough. Mikey de Jong dropping the spot already to Jamie Knock. Not a good getaway for de Jong. Second place in the Drivers' Championship.
I didn't know there was no formation lap. That caught me off guard.
Caught me off guard quite a bit too. Oh, and it looks like the Alpha of AJ Knickel getting forced quite wide there as they make their way through turn 1. Or is that technically turn 2 because of the slight turn beforehand? Not too sure.
Yes, top of the hill is 3. The kink is technically 2. They clarified that in 2019.
Okay.
I don't know why I know that, but I do.
Hey, all the more information for us. It helps nonetheless. So the running order has been set thus far. I mean, nobody
An
really
unlikely cast.
Nobody pulling away much to any extent. Matthew Stotts holding about a 4/10 lead over Cameron Lopez, who himself is holding about a 3.5 lead over teammate Jackson Altman. Running order is set, and we are off and racing here for the second lap. And as mentioned, of course, these laps go quickly around Austria. The Red Bull Ring, average lap time during the race should be about 1:05 as we see our first incident involving Tyler Crabtree. Oh, and that may result in a safety car being deployed to clean up that car as he is right alongside the track there.
Car's gone and we're green still.
Oh, it looks like it. Easy cleanup here for those Austrians. They really know those marshals know their way around a cleanup. So back we go, and it looks like Matthew Stotts may have been expecting a VSC or something as the gap has kind of closed to Cameron Lopez, may have let off just a little bit.
We know these Red Bulls have the pace, and Matthew Stotts is going to try and hold off the team he once drove for. He's been demoted twice this season from Red Bull to the sister team and then off the team. But he finds himself leading this race. When he shows up, he shows up.
Nico Pichet already seeming to make quick work of the back of the pack, up into P12 from P15 off the start. Eyes set on the Alpine of Andrew Davis, and then unfortunately Jonathan Jurgensmeyer ahead of him. That'll be a tough battle for the Ferrari, but as we know, being the championship leader, I don't think it's insurmountable for him. I think he'll be able to make it somewhat up into the lead of this race by lap 10 or so, as he does make his way around Andrew Davis there for P11. And as well, it's Cameron Lopez. Cameron Lopez making the move for the lead of this race on the inside of Matthew Stotts, battling very hard. Cars getting close. Matthew Stotts having the inside through here, though, will maintain the lead for the time being. But Cameron Lopez is right back there to strike, taking the inside and moving his way back up into the lead of this race, Cameron Lopez.
Yep, Tyler Crabtree saying he just spun off the curb. Major suspension damage causing the retirement here on lap 2.
Oh, it was tough to see if there was contact involved or whatnot. All I saw was him being sideways. I didn't see what caused it, but just a unfortunate start there on cold tires for the Mercedes driver.
There goes Stotts.
Stotts with the DRS assistance using plenty of battery deployment as well to make that move.
Cameron just went from first to third. The DRS is so powerful here.
Taking a look now at the tire detail, it's Matthew Stotts, the only one in the top 5 that opted to start on the medium compound tires. Everybody else from P2 down to P5 on the hard compound tires, and then we've got mediums for Boryoshi, hards for Jamie Cavanini, and then mediums pretty much all the way down until you get to P13 and P14 of Ayrton Frederick and George Knight, the only drivers remaining on the grid not mentioned who will be starting on the hard compound tires. And we're off and running. We are set here, folks. This should be a bit of a leapfrog battle up at the front as Matthew Stotts and Jackson Altman both have plenty of pace, none really showing any more than the other. I'm sure DRS assistants will just keep jumping one in front of the other as the laps go on, but this looks like a big battle here. Of course, Cameron Lopez still just right there in the fight, as well as Mikey
Oh, and look
DeYoung
at
and
this.
Jamie Knock.
AJ Knickel taking the fight to Piche. And who's done
Yeah.
that this year?
AJ Knickel
Piche looking a
assuming
bit
the
vulnerable.
role of Minister of Defense, however, getting a bit of a poor exit there out of turn 3. Nico Piche will assume the role of P9 for the moment. Takes the inside line as they go down the hill. AJ looking for the switcheroo. Not quite enough, as Piche does seem to get a good enough exit to just hold that position. However, they were kind of front wheel to back wheel for a moment there.
I will say this, AJ is not giving up on this fight.
Oh, I can't imagine he would. Of course, in P10 at the moment, looking to advance from there. Plenty of pace to be able to do so, as we see Matthew Stotts making his way into the pits, interestingly enough, from the lead of this race just about. And the first
Piche's got a
penalty assessment, the first
Do we
track
see our
limits
championship?
violation will be assessed to Nico Piche.
Is our championship leader vulnerable?
Oh man, I mean, I have no doubts that he'll be making his way up into podium contention soon enough. However,
Here comes AJ!
AJ
This is the
Knickel,
first time we have seen all season Piche just not walk away from someone.
yeah, I mean, it seems to be a strange night for our two championship leaders, both Mikey DeYoung and Nico Piche. Maybe just a little bit sleepy-eyed or whatnot. Not too sure what may be going on there, but not quite showing the performance that we would expect out of two such skilled and qualified drivers, I must say.
AJ staying in DRS range, and when you get it down the pit straight and then that long straight leading up to 3, you can pretty much stay there, and that's all AJ has to do. It's important to not lose touch, as he's still close enough. Absolutely, AJ. Get dragged along, get up there. He's got a penalty.
Yeah, just
AJ is giving it absolutely everything at the moment. As you can
honestly.
see,
Bit of a
almost
twitch
too
there.
much, Alex.
Yeah, big twitch actually, as he allows Jonathan Jurgensmeyer to capitalize off that mistake. However, I was just about to say, AJ, I mean, his best bet tonight seems to be just sort of following Nico as he picks his way up through the grid and just sort of staying tucked in on him.
Oh, there is 2 Ferraris and a Williams in a sandwich, and there's a Ferrari looking ready to pounce. Look at Jamie
Oh
Knock
my
right
goodness,
now.
look at this. Mikey DeYoung, Jamie Knock, and Jackson Altman all within... Oh, I'm sorry, that's Lopez, Altman, and DeYoung.
Oh, there's
right
contact.
there.
Mikey's
Oh,
around.
there is contact. We see the Williams go right around.
Oh, and look at Jamie Knock!
Oh my goodness. Local yellows
Jamie Knock
deployed
just
for the
elbows his
moment.
way through 3 wide to take the lead.
What a drive there. Everybody sort of slowing up at the top of the field, kind of checking, making sure that they were safe to race, and Jamie Knox said, I don't care about any of that.
Please tell me you caught that, Alex.
I caught the spin of DeYoung. I did not catch Jamie Knox's passes, unfortunately. We were on board with DeYoung as he went around, so anything that happened afterwards for a moment, unfortunately, we did not catch. However, knowing well enough, Billy, with eyes on the matter, calls it out.
It has been clipped and will be sent in as goated evidence. Jamie Knock, he said I'll be at the point at the end of the grid today, folks, and there he is.
On those hard compound tires, of course, and I believe he's the only one left in that podium running positions who did opt for that. Yes. No, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. All the podium positions currently are occupied by drivers who opted to start the race on the hard compound.
Cameron Lopez twitches. But he gets Jackson Altman right back, and Boryoshi, he's here now.
Yeah, he has quickly inserted himself into this conversation, of course. Now he
And
makes
Colby
his way
Luca.
up into P3, and this is going to turn real interesting real quick with Colby Luca and Boryoshi both on the medium compound tires, everybody else around them on the hards. So they clearly have the advantage, and we just got to let this play out.
Oh, was there contact between Altman and Yoshi?
Altman
Jamie
doing his...
Cavallini's up in the mix. This is awesome.
Yeah, right on the tail of Colby Luca is that Haas of Jamie Cavallini.
Uh-oh.
Right on the tail of Colby Luca. And he may have made contact, takes them both out. Colby Luca is out of this race. Jamie Cavallini kind of got hooked by his rear end and ended up in the wall also himself. Will drop a few positions because of it, but back onto the track, he is good to go.
No safety car.
No, yeah. Very interesting. And that is, of course, the... I called it, and me and Billy were discussing earlier today before the race, the over-under of safety cars that would need to be deployed because of turn 1 through turn 4 or so incidents. Just that first sector there of this Red Bull ring. And so far, none. I mean, both incidents we've seen have occurred in that zone, but no safety cars needing to be deployed as we see Jamie Cavallini ducking his way into the pits can only be assumed for a front wing change, of course. Starting on those hard compound tires, so his plan was to go long anyway, unfortunately. Maybe a fresh set of mediums going on the Haas here, and it does look to be so.
Yeah, and Pichet's creeping up on the back of these front four.
Oh, yeah.
But still at the front of the grid.
I told
Jamie
you.
Knock, give this man the screen time he deserves. He's been telling us all season. Jamie Cavallini saying in the Discord that he was lagging. And also, Crabtree mentioning that he thinks Pichet got stuck on a preset setup, so he does not have a setup on. He's just got one of those run-of-the-mill Codemaster master plans.
I mean,
but the
as
Ferrari master plan is in full effect, and it's
like
not the gentleman we thought it would be.
Master,
I'm so stoked.
Master
Sorry,
Plan,
Alex.
capital B. Frickin'
Yes.
And of course, as mentioned, it took about 10 laps or so. I mentioned it on lap 3. Nico Pichet inserting himself into the conversation said it would happen somewhere around lap 10, and it is certainly happening. Of course, one of 3 drivers on the grid sitting upon a penalty at the moment, however, has not slowed him down by any means.
Does Boryoshi go? Does he go?
Oh, looks up the inside. Not quite enough to make the move there on Jamie Knock, however, had a decent peek. Tucks back
Jamie
in.
Knock giving him a respectable amount of space, too, so it wasn't...
Yeah.
Oh, he got a bit of twitch. This Cameron pounce. No. Jamie's got to be loving seeing that.
Loses a bit of momentum as they go through the tail end of that
a
second
switcheroo.
sector. And it looks like it will be a swap there for the Red Bulls, probably unplanned, as Jackson Altman just had the pace on the corner exit over Cameron Lopez.
No. Cameron pulled over and let him go by.
Oh, okay.
Jackson might have a bit more pace. I think he's right to go up there and challenge these guys. Cameron's got a bit of a twitchy rear end right now, so instead of holding up his teammate, I think that's the right decision.
Extremely.
Here comes Jackson Altman.
Yes, on the tail end of Boryoshi goes Altman, and looking up the outside as they make their way through that first major corner on this track. Bit of a twitch on exit for the Red Bull, however, not enough to really cause any trouble. Still right on the tail end of that Mercedes. Will have another peak here. On the outside once more. And once again, not enough. However, these top three, Jamie Knock, Boryoshi, and Jackson Altman, now having another peek up the other end of the outside. Oh my goodness, Jackson Altman doing everything in his power to try to make this move work around the outside. However, not able to.
All this is doing is helping Pichet reel him in slowly but surely. And look at AJ. One spot off of that top 5 I made him promise to get. Oh, I gotta stop looking at AJ.
It'll be a strategy call for that Alpha Tauri from here on out, as he does unfortunately get passed by Jonathan Jurgensmeyer for that P6 position. But Jurg being 8 seconds behind Nico Pichet himself, I mean, if AJ has any hope, it'll be on strategy alone. That 8 seconds is quite a gap to try to make up just on race pace alone. Great.
I want to say
the
strength of the grid between teammates, I gotta say, is the Red Bull side of the garage, because Jackson Altman and Cameron Lopez are just always in the thick of it here. We've seen them running together all season long. I want to say they're the most consistent teammates in terms of pace with each other. So
yeah, seem to be. They're really on their game tonight specifically. I must say, Cameron Lopez showing a lot more pace than we would expect of him otherwise. Sticking right with him. This top 4 between Jamie Knock, Boryoshi, Jackson Altman, and Cameron Lopez, all right there within about a second and a half of one another.
All I know is Jamie Knock has held this lead for quite a substantial amount of time. No one's been able to go up there and take it from him. But now that Boryoshi doesn't have to worry about defending, does he have enough to attack?
Not quite on the start-finish straight. A bit of a twitch in the Mercedes on that corner exit as well. Gives Jamie Knock a few extra meters of distance that Boryoshi will have to
DRS
close.
range.
Piché has made up about a second of the gap from him to Cameron Lopez.
Oh, and a Verstappen
Boryoshi
v Leclerc type move.
Forcing
and
Jamie
here comes
Knock
Jackson.
well wide. And yes, Jackson Altman inserting himself into the conversation as well. Now looking to make the slip around the outside of the Mercedes, and he does. He's clear into the lead of this race. Jackson Altman, what a move indeed. Wow, what a sequence there. These drivers, these top five, now that Nico Piché has inserted himself so clearly into the fight, this is going to be interesting the whole way. These drivers with plenty of experience.
Oh, Vaquera's Boryoshi.
Boryoshi.
I think Jackson might be giving the position back.
I think he may be doing so because he
another
Boryoshi
penalty
so wide. And that's 6 seconds now.
No!
And into the wall goes Piché. Oh my goodness.
Jamie Knock.
That was Jamie Knock. Oh, I thought it was Piché. I'm sorry. They were so close together.
Piché got another 3 second though.
He did. 6 seconds of penalty now that Ferrari is sitting upon, and without a front wing, he will have to go all the way back around the track to make it back into the pits to swap. Oh, and will this spell doom for that second Ferrari? We have yet to see.
This is a cracking race so far. Here comes Boryoshi. Oh, bit of a send. Jackson's wise to it. Switches back. Easy as you like, Alex.
Lots of bleed.
Oh, Mikey de Jong's out.
Here. Mikey de Jong is out of this race?
He's retired in the pit. No crash or anything.
It may have been
I didn't even notice he dropped out of this. He's been so focused with these guys.
I mean, and I'll be totally honest, Mikey de Jong is just the driver that we would expect to be up here alongside these drivers in the thick of this fight. However,
Jamie Knock gets a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, no front wing, no downforce. It's tough to take it all the way around. Knowing his chances, knowing he has the pace, he was probably really trying to gun it to get back to the pits and just kind of overcooked it by a little bit. However, this is a the Williams, I believe, is that Aiden McCarthy?
No, that was Mikey de Jong's.
Yeah.
This is the second instance where that's it's not their fault, but the game's that is insanely unsafe.
Jackson Altman looking to make the move stick here on Boryoshi for the lead around the outside. Once again, Jackson Altman is just so comfortable going around the outside thus far. And he does
outside
make it
turns
stick.
to the inside here. Turn 5 through 6.
And
so far they've been able to keep... Yep, go ahead.
This is just leapfrog thus far. So far they've all been able to keep each other in sights. Just to finish your sentence, sorry about it. Like there's
but importantly,
no clear advantage.
They're keeping their main competitor who also... No way, that's 9 seconds. That is 9 seconds of penalties.
Piché all gas, no brakes thus far. Almost halfway through this Austrian Grand Prix. No setup.
No setup is really... This could be the second race in ARC history that Piché has entered but not won.
And
that's the record you're looking at, folks.
I'm sure. Whether it's related to confidence or comfort, I mean, Nico Piché being a driver that we expect to run kind of the Max Verstappen playbook any given week, just pulling so far ahead that it doesn't matter when you choose to pit or when you choose to make a move.
Oh, Ayrton's out of this race. He's crashed coming out of, I believe that's 7. The leaders will be coming through there. No safety car. Are they off? I'm afraid they might. That's weird.
Yeah.
There's been 3 instances where cars have been in a... I mean, whatever. I'm glad. Keep this racing going. It's we got pitters, comers and goers here.
It will be interesting to see who chooses to. As Boryoshi will be the first one to bite. and Piche will duck in. Those are the two out of the top four that will choose to make their pits, hopefully
Oh,
looking to make
he's
an undercut work.
retired.
And yeah, just not the night for Nico Piche, I guess he's decided. Of course, would have been well in contention for a podium finish, which is respectable enough as is, but if you're Nico Piche, if you're not winning, then you're not participating as far as he's concerned.
That's wild.
So Boryoshi, out of that lead pack of four drivers, will be the only one of the two that pit to emerge from the pits, as the Ferrari opts to end his day, and that may be just the end of the day, the end of the chances of a win for the Ferrari team overall, as we already saw plenty of trouble with Jamie Knock. Oh, and Boryoshi will get spit back out here in P4, just a hair behind Matthew Stotts, who is now up back into the podium positions. After an early pit stop himself, taking a look now at the tire detail to see what everybody's opted for. And of course, our lead two, Jackson Altman and Cameron Lopez, the Red Bulls, on the same strategy it looks like, both on the hard compound tires they started the race on. Matthew Stotts, of course, having to duck into the pits around lap 5 or 6 or so, did end up taking the hard compounds on that pit, so the top four in total are all on the hard compounds, as Boryoshi also opted for the hards
Now, what
his
do the
last
Red
time
Bulls
around.
do here? That's the question, Alex. They're so close in pace, they
Should they
can't pit on the
offset?
same lap.
Yeah,
They're going to have to, but one of them's going to be given the undercut while the other one's not, and it's a tough decision. Plus, given the circumstances that we've just seen transpire, both of these drivers haven't won a race this season, and both of these guys want to win as much as the next guy. So this is not over by any means.
I mean,
This is going to get really good.
I can only hope for the team's sake that they are communicating about this situation, seeing who may be better off lasting one more lap on these tires than the other, as the gap back to Boryoshi in P3 is significant enough now, where if they did choose to pit, they'd probably come out, whichever one it is, well enough to still be fighting in this.
I don't know, Boryoshi is making that undercut work, but these guys will be on the mediums. Jackson lets off. Chooses to stay behind and ride.
Not looking to make the move on such a precarious corner there on his teammate. Should be mentioned, though, of course, I mean, already 5 drivers out of this race for various reasons, 4 more sitting upon penalties. This has just been an eventful race from beginning to end thus far.
Oh!
Caution's
Aiden McCarthy
out.
is around.
Looks like it. The Williams
in front of the leaders are
P11,
coming through
yeah.
here.
He will have to make way, of course, once Cameron Lopez catches him close enough. But another week out for Aiden McCarthy, and another week to forget, it looks like, for that Williams driver.
Hey, if he sticks around and we get one more retirement, he's in the points.
It's a dismal situation to be hoping upon, as Cameron Lopez will be the Red Bull that will take the first pit stop between the two. Jackson Altman just off and running. It is full push, hammer time, as some may say.
Where's Boryoshi? He's going to come out well ahead of Cameron here.
Yeah, looks like it. Boryoshi doing very well to work down that gap to the Red Bulls in the time.
Matthew Stotts as well.
Boryoshi,
these guys are going to be on mediums, so...
Yoshi making up about 4.5 seconds just in the last 2 laps alone. Great pace thus far on those cold, hard compound tires. At least they were cold when he came out. Probably a bit warm by now. So let's see. Cameron Lopez will be spit back out onto the track in P4, about a
Aiden
second
McCarthy off again.
Matthew
Same
Stotts.
part of the track.
And the fight here for the win is wide open, I'd say. I mean, barring Jackson Altman having a really bad pit stop, any one of these top 4, maybe even top 5 if Jamie Knock can show a bit of the pace that he did towards the beginning of this race. This is open for the taking.
To be a perfect... Boryoshi will get the lead here. There's no doubt about it. But in comparison to where his team...
In the last few seasons, we've not seen such a thing where the 2 championship leaders are both retired so early in the race, and it just leaves it so wide open for everybody else. Jackson Allman into the pits and opting for those medium compound tires for about the remaining 14 and a half laps or so for the Red Bull.
He's a full second behind Cameron Lopez, who gets past Stotts up into P2.
Oh, and it looks like more. He's nearly 2.5 seconds behind teammate Cameron Lopez. Oh, and the undercut really flexing its muscle here. Cameron Lopez off and running about 4 seconds behind Boryoshi at the moment. Boryoshi, of course, on the tires. No, he's not. What am I
Stotts
saying?
is. I don't know if Stotts is gonna take these tires. Let me take a.
Taking a look now at the
16 laps. That's
tire
a.
data.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I can't imagine he'll be racing.
You can see he's already struggling for grit.
If he P8 or P9, will have to race his way up from there as we see Jackson Altman getting right to the make it stick. Matthew Stotts sort of understanding the situation, looks to have backed out of that fight by a little bit. Near at this point, asking about, when the blanket's coming off. Yeah.
What do the tire? It's he's put himself in. He was in such a good spot, qualified obviously on pole. I just don't know what the early pit stop was. We'll just have to find out post-race. I don't know if there was any damage involved, but the early pit stop to me didn't make sense. So in my mind, there had to have been a mechanical issue, such as wing damage or something.
Yeah, some sort of damage. Maybe not visual to us, but still enough for him to have ducked into the pits. However, should be mentioned, I mean, for what it's worth, with about 12 laps remaining here in Austria, Matthew Stotts is still well in contention for a podium finish here. Of course, starting from pole position, now finds himself in P4. Let's take a look at the position change data. It's Boryoshi, of course, leading the way, up 6 positions, starting P7 now in the lead of this race by a considerable margin. Jonathan Juergensmeyer just running the Juergensmeyer play, as we should all expect at this point. Started P12 up to P6 and looking to advance from there, however. Gap 2, Jamie Knock, about 16.5 seconds, so maybe a bit insurmountable for him.
I gotta tip my cap to Jamie Knott. I mean, with the spin and the damage, he's still held on to P5 thus far. I mean, Juergensmeyer is closing. Woo.
Yeah, I mean, that incident really just threw everything up in the air for Jamie Knock, unfortunately. He'd be fighting on the podium right now had that not happened, but still, as mentioned, for him to be working his way back up as far as he has, I mean, he's a easy contender for driver of the day, I would say. Game will not agree, of course, come the end of the race, but just my personal opinion.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's Boryoshi now holding on to about a 1 second lead, just barely staying out of DRS range of the Red Bull of Cameron Lopez behind him. Jackson Altman about 2.5 seconds behind his teammate in P3.
And here's the thing, too. They might be on different tires, but Boryoshi's been able to massage those tires in, conserve, not push, whereas Cameron and Jackson have both been pushing. So by the time we get to lap 31, I feel like the tires are pretty much going to even out. We're going to have a lot of what we had earlier, where they were just 3 wide, battling, jostling, switching it around right up into the last lap.
Yeah, and as we've come to expect here on any given week in the ARC Formula 1 series, the closest gap on track at the moment is that for the lead of this race, as Cameron Lopez puts himself right up into the rear of that Mercedes. Oh, and it is game on.
And does Jackson have an answer?
The only other gap on track that is under 8 seconds is that of Jackson Altman to his teammate Cameron Lopez for P2 and P3 respectively. But every other gap on track is, I mean, you've got Matthew Stotts 8 seconds behind Jackson Altman, and then 15 seconds is the lowest gap after that, all the way down the rest of the grid.
No, you have your interval set to leader.
Yes, I do. You're right. My apologies. I don't know how I changed that.
Nope. Next one up. There you go.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Boryoshi has been passed, and Altman has entered. So this is what we're going to get for the next 9 laps. Most likely is these guys just going toe-to-toe. Oh, toe-to-toe, wing-to-wing, pod-to-pod.
Oh, yeah.
And there comes Jackson.
Jackson Altman making maybe slight contact with the rear end of that Mercedes, however, not enough to throw him off of his line there. And of course, I mean, the question to be asked at this point is that of Matthew Stotts. 21 laps on those hard compound tires. When is he going to duck in? Oh my goodness, nose to tail here, Boryoshi and Cameron Lopez fighting for P2 as Jackson Altman is starting to make a run. Gap nearly 1 second back to Boryoshi.
Cameron's going to get a run up to turn 1, but does he take it, or does he wait to go up the hill to 3?
Not quite enough space there for Lopez to make the move on Yoshi. However, I mean, still just right there. The gap between those cars cannot be any more than about 4 feet as Lopez does look to make a move up the inside, boxing out the Mercedes. Contact there, wheel to the side pod of the Red Bull, and maybe a bit of a force there. Interesting to see whether Lopez will relinquish the position because of it.
Boryoshi did that to him the lap previous, which gave Jackson Altman the lead, so you know, you race how you want to be raced. And that's the most unbiased thing I could say.
Yeah, fair
especially
point.
given my situation. But I got to call it like I see it.
I mean, there's certainly something to be said about having a dog in the fight and whatnot, but even still, I mean, fair is fair.
Fair is fair. You've shown the threshold. You have to expect the threshold to be shown back to you. And fair play to both of them. It's great racing, and it makes for a great broadcast, and I enjoy watching it as a fan.
Cameron Lopez, though, already flexing the pace there on the Mercedes of Boryoshi. Gap already over half a second as he's sort of running his way up to teammate Jackson Altman if he can. However, Boryoshi making up plenty of time there. Looks to maybe make a move around the outside, however, ducks back in as they run their way through Sector 2 now. And man, things are really heating up here at the front of the pack on lap 29. Not many to go.
Jackson took that lead during the kerfuffle at 3 and has not looked back.
Gap already a second and a half and growing as we see yet another track limits violation penalty assessed, this time to the Alpine of Andrew Davis.
Oh no.
Oh, and it looks like
Jonathan Jergersmeyer's left the session.
Oh no. Interestingly enough, I was just about to mention that AJ Knickel seems to be making a really good run on him here. However, it may be because his car is not being controlled by him in the first place. AJ should have a clear shot at P6 here, as he does make the slip there on the Alpine of Jackson Altman, who remains ghosted, and yeah, he has no control of that car. That is the game driving for him.
Did Cameron waste his tires too early? He's not able to make anything happen. He's not dealing with a ton of pressure out the back.
Oh, and I mean, I know we've been mentioning it time and again thus far, but it needs to be mentioned yet again. Matthew Stotts on those hard compound tires, 24 laps old, and at this point, I can't imagine he is thinking anything else besides, I gotta stick it out till the end on these. It's way too late now for him to try to make a move.
Yeah. That ship kind of sailed.
Yeah, strategy sort of falling apart there for the McLaren towards
Oh,
the
no!
end. Oh no, things have just gotten very interesting, folks, as Jackson Altman picks himself up a track limits violation penalty. That'll be 3 seconds assessed at the end of this race, of course, being the fact that neither of the top 2 drivers, Jackson Altman or Cameron Lopez, will be making their way back into the pits before the end here. So as long as
And now the
Lopez,
fight for P2 just became the fight for P1.
oh my goodness. Jackson Altman just has to give it everything he has and try to build out the gap over his teammate by at least 3 seconds, but Cameron Lopez, of course, showing all the pace in the world thus far. I don't think Altman is going to be able to do that. Wow, what a great race thus far. It must be said. Oh my goodness. Interesting from beginning to end. Lap 31 we find ourselves on and still glued to the edge of our seats just as we were on lap 2 or so.
Does Cameron just back up Boryoshi and himself 2-3 seconds? Or does Cameron just go for the win?
Is Cameron on PlayStation?
Cameron is not. Oh, what just happened to Boryoshi?
Oh my goodness.
What just happened to Boryoshi?
That must have been some type of mechanical failure. Maybe his wheel getting disconnected. Do you see that? You see his front right just spinning on top of his car?
Yes.
Oh
Matthew Stotts!
Up onto the podium goes Matthew Stotts, of course, starting this race from pole position. Strategy falling apart here in the second half of the race, but not badly enough for him to miss out on a good opportunity. Oh my goodness.
What?
Just absolute mayhem here. Oh my goodness. Boryoshi crashing out, and that is just... Oh, it's so unfortunate. He was on pace for his, I believe, his second podium of the season, but the first one that he will feel that he earned through and through.
Now you gotta think, does... 27-lap old tires, do they not pop?
Yeah, so, like, here's the thing about Matthew Stott's situation. It's almost 17 seconds up to Cameron Lopez. There's really no chance for him to fight for P2. However, the gap back behind him to Jamie Knock is shrinking by every corner. It was about 6.5 seconds, maybe 3 or 4 corners ago. Gap now down to 4.5 seconds, Jamie Knock to Matthew Stotts. And can that Ferrari pull himself back up into the podium positions? This will be the story for the rest of this race. Besides, of course, the Red Bulls dueling it out for the lead. Still within 1 second of each other. Cameron Lopez now about 0.6 behind teammate Jackson Altman. And oh man.
I'm just... This might be settled on track here. I don't think it's...
Looks like we do have the driver just joining us now. Boryoshi, I have to ask, what exactly happened there? Anything else besides that, so...
It was flashing from lap 3, but it needed to reboot, and I was hoping it would hold out. I was hoping for a safety car so I could do it, but I just found out the safety cars had turned off. But this is a good race up here.
Alright, well, Billy, I guess you're right. No safety car.
A puncture! Puncture!
Oh no, that car is not going any which way that he wants it to.
But up front, battle for the lead.
Oh, and
Cameron Lopez.
Can he limp his way around? Of course, every position from this point on will be a point-scoring position.
Oh, and who's off?
Hold on.
It's Aiden McCarthy again.
The Williams at the rear of the pack. If he's able to bring it all the way around for about another lap and a half, he will score a point for it. But the same can be said for Matthew Stotts, of course, who's now ducking his way into the pits, and maybe the safe move. I mean, just hold on for that 1 point that you can guarantee yourself, I guess. No point trying to stick it out on a punctured tire, of all things. Onto the softs goes the McLaren, and back out in P7. So, I mean, given his options, I think this is just sort of best case scenario. But yeah, strategy for that McLaren team really just falling apart in the latter stages of this race. Of course, Matthew Stotts on 28-lap-old hard compound tires, I believe, by the time of that puncture. And it was just it was a bomb ticking. It was waiting to go off, and we finally did see it happen. Spit back out into the pack in P8 with
here we go.
Gap. Jackson Altman making the move on Lopez here. Teammate on teammate mayhem. Being very respectable of each other thus far in the race, though, must be said. But Altman is off and running.
He's gonna get
For
him
the
here.
race.
This is it.
Oh.
4 is the last overtaking spot, but we know Altman's on the
Inside goes
outside all day.
Lopez.
The outside turns to inside here for 5. You don't want to pick up a track extension penalty if you're Cameron. Oh, they don't touch the... That is the race.
This will be it. Lopez making the move back around teammate Altman. Only took him about 4 corners to do so after Altman assumed the lead from him. Into the final 2 corners they go, these Red Bulls. It is Cameron Lopez holding off his teammate the best he can, and it will be a 1-2 finish for the Red Bull team, with Lopez holding on for the win, his first of this season.
But
And now
Alex,
it's all
getting ready to cross the line.
all eyes here on Jamie Knock.
The unlikely hero called it today. Said he'd stick it on the front row of the grid to qualifying, but he'll stick it on the podium, Alex.
He is celebrating
He
it
knows.
as he knows he goes across the line in P3, the final podium position. AJ Knickel holding on so well. And, of course, talking to him before this race, we wished him the best and wished that he would be able to perform well enough for his first podium interview of the season. However, not quite enough. Still a great race from that AlphaTauri, must be said. P4 he'll come home with. Jamie Cavanini holding on for P5, I believe that being his best finish of the season so far. Highest racing position was P1. Jamie Cavanini we've seen with plenty of pace, especially at, Monaco, I believe. But it is, of course, the Red Bulls who come away just a hair better than the pack, barring issues that were faced by the Mercedes team. Of course, Tyler Crabtree had a decent chance at a good finish here in Boryoshi with the late incident. Oh my goodness, interesting race from beginning to end. We've been on the edge of our seats for the last hour and 20 minutes or so.
That was, Alex, I said going into it, I hope it's not like last year with the DRS train, because no one passed. There was a train, but no one could pass. And I'm just so happy that we got we were treated to a hell of a race, man. I'm going to do my best here to try and get Jamie Knock into the party.
It was
and
so
I have an
great.
idea. I'm going to try, and I'm going to call our winner on my cell phone, try and pick him up for he deserves it. Drove a hell of a race. Both Red Bulls did. Boryoshi, you did too, unfortunately, at the end there. Kind of, it sucks. But hey, it opened the door for a guy like Jamie Knock, who we're all super pumped to see get on the podium and get his first interview. I just got to add him.
I mean, there was nobody that had any clear advantage over the other. At any point in this race, it was a 6-horse battle for the lead just about the whole way. Lopez, Altman, Knock, of course, Boryoshi, and Nico Pichet for the time that he was able to participate. It was not clear who would win this race. I mean, just one another leapfrogging each other. And we were treated to a special one here in Austria tonight. Wow, what a great race. I'll put my money to say that thus far in the season, the most exciting race yet.
Yep, just waiting for Jackson Altman, who's here. Alright, let's start with you, Fred the Red, Jamie Knock. You've been hyping yourself up during the chats all season. You've called this. You said, let the chef cook. You put the hat on today, man. What a race. You led, and I'll say you led with confidence, and obviously that incident, but you battled back. First podium, man. Walk us through this race.
Well, not entirely sure. I don't know how I managed to sneak into first place between the 2 Red Bulls, but I thought I was going to spin because I got kind of stuck on the pair of them, and then managed to hold the lead for a few laps. And then the Mercedes came down. It was a fair move, but I went off a bit, set me off centre, and then just lost it coming down the pit straight. Just lit the rears too much. That's it. But no idea how. But with all the mishaps, with all the people ahead, managed to pinch a P3.
Yeah, what an up and down race. Ultimately, your teammate retired early, but you took up the mantle and still stuck a Ferrari on podium. Is this your first podium?
Uh, this season I think it is, yeah. I've been quite unlucky in the past few races, but this is
Well,
up to my spirit.
you haven't been lacking the confidence thus far, but congrats, man, on the first podium of the season. What a race, up and down, but ultimately you finished on a high. Congrats.
That second half of the
Thank you.
race after
Oh,
his incident may be an early contender for best performance of the season, must be said. Just battling all the way back as he did to end up on the podium. Great race, Jamie.
Thank you.
all right, let's turn our attention to this runner-up, Jackson Altman. Messed up the qualifying lap. You were on a lap that could get pole and a bit Verstappen-esque at Saudi Arabia. You kind of bottled it in the last corner, but it was still good enough to put you in contention. And obviously, the battle with your teammate, the Mercedes all race along, and then ultimately the penalty that kind of cost you there. But to be fair, your teammate raced you and you guys raced clean. Walk us through that result.
Wait, what'd you say?
Oh, no.
My fault. Or no, you said walk us through the result. All right. My fault. I was reading
Bring us
something.
through the race.
So yeah, the qualifying lap definitely would have been pole, but just messed up in sector 3, and then the race. There was a lot of battling at the start. I knew if I could be the last one to pit, I would be able to. I'd have the freshest tires at the end. So I got the lead, and then I got the penalty, but the penalty would have been removed, I think, because the one warning, I literally let people like go when I went off track, and it still gave me a warning. But yeah, I just made too many mistakes at the end, and Cameron passed me and won.
Well, it was a good race. You guys had differing strategies, but ultimately you guys were in the best position to win. So, congrats on another podium this season. You're making a strong contention, especially when championship leader has the troubles he had today. So you put yourself in a good position championship-wise, and what a treat that was to watch you guys battling all race long. We appreciate it, and congrats.
Thank you.
I do need to ask, though, after that first stint when you both started on the hards, of course, and were right alongside each other, seeing who would pit first, was there any communication about that, or was it just seeing, like, who's going to bite first?
Nah, originally I was gonna pit on the lap that he pit, but he was in front of me, so when he decided to pit, I decided to go another lap.
Just had to know for my own personal reasons. Regardless, though, of course, great race as always.
Thank you.
All right, now I'm gonna try and do something a little out of the blue here, but I'm
A
gonna
little
try and give.
unorthodox.
Yeah, but listen, it's a former European champion. He's a good kid, and he's absolutely rapid. I just want to hear from Cameron.
What's up?
All right, I just gotta hold this close enough. Can you hear us, Cam?
Yeah, I got you.
Can you guys hear him all right?
Loud and clear.
Absolutely. Cam, what a race. Battled all race long, pretty quick. Ultimately wasn't there in qualifying. Started in P3, but you're able to battle back the entire race and race your teammate there. Penalty and all, you didn't leave anything up for stewards or anything. You went up there and you snatched it. Walk us through your race, man.
Man, so I started second. I was
Oh, yes,
I was
my
2
bad.
thousandths off, not P3. Start was okay, but man, those hards at the start had no grip at all. I was sliding all over the place, so I thought I'll just let Jackson through because he was clearly quicker than me. And then I was a bit confused because everyone at the front, except for me and Jackson, were racing like it was the last lap. So we went through. A lot of people were spinning. It was a shame safety cars weren't on for that race because it meant it was just me and Jackson at the end. It was kind of just a race of survival. But me and Jackson brought it home, and at the end, when Yoshi pushed me off track and Jackson went through, I thought that was it. I thought that was Jackson's win. But I decided to just push as hard as I could on those last laps. I got back in the DRS, and you know how penalties are in F1. People can get them removed. So I just wasn't taking any chances, and I went for the race win.
Oh, man, that was a hell of a race. It was fun to watch. I hope everybody that watched enjoyed it as well. I saw that you and Boryoshi had a bit of contact. He pushed you a little wide. Then the next lap, you kind of gave it back to him. You know, you give what you take. So it's a bit argy-bargy, but I mean, it was clean and it was awesome. Yeah, it was awesome to watch, and I hope everybody enjoyed it because we did. It was a fun race to call. It was the exact opposite of last season, but congrats on the win, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you, man. Have a good one.
Yeah.
See you later.
Oh man, so glad we could get him in here. Cameron Lopez, love
Yeah.
that guy. He's just
We're gonna be switching soon to try and get Discord integrated for these, so that way we can get everybody in. So that way there's no one being left out. We'd love to interview Nico Pichet, who's certainly owed an interviewer for. So
Oh, that's another one in the books, folks. We want to thank you for tuning in, as always, to another great stream of the ARC Formula One series. Just a burner from beginning to end. Edge of your seat the whole way, at least for me personally. But of course, it is that time where we want to give a shout out real quick to DIVEBOMB Motorsport. You know them, you love them. They're the reason that most of this happens in the first place. They are the premier collaborative partner of ARC Motorsports, so a lot of new projects going on with DIVEBOMB and ARC collaborating together that you should probably head to their website and check out. And as always, as well, want to thank SimLeague Pro, the source for just about everything. I'm really just freeballing it here. But SimLeague Pro, no free ads or whatnot, but even still, the source of information for all things ARC. If you want to check a leaderboard, a schedule, anything related to anything going on track, make sure you check SimLeague Pro first. Thanks as well to SimWrap Market, ARC's premier partner for iRacing liveries and designs. Make sure you check them out also. You can search whatever you want on SimWrap Market if you race on iRacing, and you'll probably find it. Shout out as well to the Racing Rats, our Assetto Corsa modding partners. They put out the high quality mods that we use for a lot of our AC series, all of which are free if you were willing to go and look into any of that yourself if you race Assetto Corsa. And thanks as well to AJ Knickel Design and James McAdam Photography for a lot of the media that we see going on in ARC. Mostly by AJ Knickel Design, of course. James McAdam Photography, good for a lot of the thumbnails and IRL photography that you may see, but a lot of the graphic design and whatnot is handled almost entirely by AJ Knickel. So thanks, of course, for all the work that's put into ARC by those two. Wrapping things up now, we want to thank you, as always, for tuning in to another great week of ARC racing. Oh my goodness, I'm just trying to catch my breath after such a great race. Thanks, of course, for tuning in, and we will make sure to see you right back here for the next one, which I believe is 2 weeks. Off week next week, yeah? Any confirmation? Bill, do you know if we're racing next week?
Checking.
I think we are racing next week, yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
ask
okay.
the guy that made the schedule.
Zandvoort next week.
Ah, Dutch Grand
Ooh.
Prix. Same place, same time. We'll be happy to see you right back here. Thanks again for watching. Signing off.